Welcome back to Obviously Automotive. I'm Austin, and today's video is getting my 63 Chrysler Newport back driving. So if you remember back in September 2024, I drove this car back from Great Falls, Montana. You can see that whole trip on my channel. I'll post links to that in the description. 15 minutes from home though, the motor I believe spun a bearing, and I was forced to trailer it the last 15 miles home. So since then, I've purchased another 361 big block. I'm going to go ahead and swap the engine so I can keep enjoying this car. And then I'm going to investigate what happened to the original motor. People have been asking, when am I going to work on this car? When am I going to figure out what happened? Now's the time. So follow along and let's see what's involved with swapping this engine and what happened to the original engine.
Let me just kind of get in line with the...
Just get it to a good spot. That's probably good. All right, we got the Newport here in my shop after I cleaned all the crap out of it so we can actually work in here, but you can't really have the whole car inside. So apologies for the bright sun that's probably washing out the imagery of this video. Anyways, I got my buddy Trip here. You've seen him in other videos, and he also owns a 63 Chrysler Newport with a 3-speed manual transmission, and he's swapped the engine with another, so, and I helped with that partially, so we got some experience. Yeah. Anyways, Trip can maybe give some insight, and maybe, since he's already done this, this should be quicker, right?
Ideally.
Or maybe not.
To be determined.
To be determined. So we're going to go ahead and get started here. Basically, got to take the hood off and a bunch of other stuff and get this old motor out. But before we can get started, we need refreshments. So Trip, show us what we got here. A menagerie of different beverages.
From around the country.
Literally.
World even.
So I'm going to start off with simple Strohs, which we got on our
56 Plymouth.
Yeah, 56 Plymouth
Well,
Gathering. Oh no, that was with the
Roadmaster.
The Roadmaster trip, which you can see that trip where we fix a broken frame and drive it all the way from Pittsburgh back to North Carolina. And yes, so I'll post a link to that too if you want to check that out. That makes a weird noise.
Probably.
Oh, it's like an instrument. Anyways, so one of the things we have to do since we're putting in another engine, manual transmission engines, the crank is drilled and ready for a pilot bushing to go in, but the automatic engines aren't finished. So you can use a later style from like a Dakota pickup roller. Yeah, it's like a bearing instead of a bushing. It's a pilot bearing, I guess, and that goes into the round of the crank. But we'll show that later on. But the only problem is you have to trim a little bit of the input shaft on the original transmission, which isn't a big deal. And we're talking like 1/4 of an inch. So that's one of the things we got to do. So keep that in mind if you're going to put an automatic engine into your manual transmission car, because there's a difference in the cranks.
I say later, attach some pictures comparing the two bearing types.
Oh, we will have video of that.
Yeah.
So a lot of stuff's got to come off this car. Oh, just this battery is an American Western.
Oh, that's cool. So
hood.
I guess one place to start.
We could start draining the radiator.
Drain the radiator, and just as a standard of operation, disconnect the battery.
We don't disconnect batteries. I want Sparkies.
That does make for a good time.
Check it out.
There you go.
Disconnected. For our safety and the viewer's safety. Trip is having a blast trying to get these bolts loose.
I think
this
it
exhaust
finally
manifold.
broke loose.
Got like multiple wrenches going on here. Oh,
It's moving. I can actually do the ratchet on the bottom now. Let's see. Let me flip this around and see if it's going to be agreeable. This one's been kind of funky to get at. Oh, I like that. That smoother than a torque flat.
oh, that one's laying under there somewhere now.
It's right under the.
Oh. Well.
There, I might have to pull the spring anyways. Do that here in a second. But she had the clutch out, so. Oh, they actually put the little star lock washers back on. Nice.
Wow, the ball and trunnion boots.
Intact.
Yeah,
That's not allowed, Austin.
that's very rare. There's not even grease splattered or anything.
Yeah, mine's like caked from where it came apart. You recall getting kind of creative before. This upper one. And all this fine, dried, Great Plains dust under here is going to be nice.
Yeah, probably should pressure wash on the side of this car.
Since those are a little bit of pain to get to, I'll probably go ahead and spin them all the way out. Dang, I should have used one of these ever so slightly longer extensions. Oh, these are basically this. Let me swap out here.
I literally bought those extensions just to do this. Remove the 4 bolts for a transmission.
Keep on that long one. Just keeping it aligned to torque it right. Funny enough, that long extension kind of becomes a torsion bar. It takes up a lot of the. There we go.
I'm getting the dust on me. Oh man, this fuel hose though.
You know,
They're looking like something on the Titanic.
this is where one of the impacting ratchets is pretty handy.
Yeah, maybe one day I'll get one.
I'd recommend, as a regular user of one, I'd recommend it. At least this isn't like modern stuff with the integrated bell housing.
Yeah.
It's aggravating. I mean, I guess it's like doing an automatic in some old cars. Uno.
Yeah.
It's the other side. A little trickier, a little tighter, but doable nonetheless. Huh. Yeah, because on this side you have the shifter box. You have the shifter housing basically, where the shift forks go, so it's a little left-sided. I'm trying to recall. I may have used a universal.
I have a universal. It's just a little sloppy. I see it up there.
What's that?
I see that boat up there.
Yeah, she's up there. I don't think I can get directly on it. And I'm trying to recall what I did. Honestly, that starter wrench would probably work okay.
I have a work lot here.
Good. Oh.
You got that bolt out yet?
No. Did you get a good angle of how this one is?
Oh yeah.
And then you have all the shifter bits in the way. Maybe. If I hold it there. No, don't fall. There we go. Uno mas. If last one has all the tension on it.
It's the 4 bolts, right?
Yep, and then you see where the Z bar or the clutch link to the clutch fork from the Z bar. Just have to get that through, and I might have to take and turn that ball that mounts in the bell housing and screw it out into this, into the Z bar itself, so it clears.
Okay.
wish it was a hex one like the ones you see on the mid 60, the Elwood era cars. Like on the on the 4-speed bell housings I've been playing with, some of those are hex sided.
Yeah.
But wow, this one I broke it loose and I'm just running it with my finger now.
Not allowed. You got to have it be hard and can't get it off and then break something.
Should be able to thread all the way in or.
Yep, there it is.
Oop.
And you lost all my pieces.
Yeah, there's that little spring clip they had on there extra. I'm not sure what the what's going on with that. But I'll get out and we'll sit and clutch stuff aside.
So basically, this motor is pretty much ready to pull out. Yes?
Yeah, well.
And you have like, well, I don't know why you didn't use a creeper turnaround. Look at all that. Nice.
Man of nature.
So we tried pulling this motor out the way that it was pulled out with Tripp's car, and it ain't gonna work. And the only thing we can think of is Tripp's car's motor or transmission mounts were so wore slap out that it allowed the transmission to flex more in order to get the motor out. The way it is right now, the oil pan is basically going to hit the cross member, and then the bell housing is hitting the firewall. So now we're going to pull the transmission out and do it that way, which I guess that's what you need to do if your car actually has good transmission mounts and such. Anyways, kind of how things can be, even with what's essentially the same cars. Can't do it the same way to pull a motor out. So it's going to take a little bit longer, but is what it is.
Once these are broken loose, I could probably do it with a 1/4-inch drive. Speed them off.
So we got the hoist on the motor here, and transmission is out. And are you wrestling with that, or is it going to sit there?
I'm balancing it.
Can you slide it up on top of the jack, the cross member, towards me? Like just push it towards me. Wait, let me hold the jack.
Yeah, push the jack more. The front, yeah, as soon as it clears the bell housing, the front of it's just going to plop down.
Gotcha. There she is.
Gentle on your mount there.
All right, You guys can wipe up some of that grease.
True.
We will have to get back under there.
Yeah.
I love the smell of 90 weight. Not. So the motor is out. There are a few things we're going to have to take off this motor, the exhaust manifolds, obviously the bell housing and all the associated parts with the starter. And then we got to put it on the replacement motor here, which is a Billy Bad Boy motor with the chromium. But this came out of a B body, so the manifolds are different.
Yep. You're gonna have to remove the flex plate.
Yeah, this gotta
swap some sending units around, and then also coming soon will be the time to show about the input shaft bearing support bearer.
Will we have a clean engine underneath this valve cover? I was told this motor was rebuilt. I've taken all the bolts off. Now the moment of truth. Wow, that's on there pretty good. Okay. Wait, this doesn't even have any oil residue on it.
Hardly.
Just on the gasket surface from where it's leaking, because it's probably Chinese valve covers. That actually looks clean.
Red springs with, do I see dampers? No, maybe. No. Yeah, that
does look like it actually was worked on. And we got umbrella seals in there.
Yeah.
With paint overspray on everything, which is
factory spec.
Yeah. And oh, can I see in? Oh, I can't see. But the push rod, no, it's clean in there. Inside the valley, it's clean. No sludge whatsoever.
No, that is super clean. Yeah, I'll see. Yeah, you can see it. Oh yeah, you can see it good on the camera.
Okay, so maybe this engine was rebuilt, which is a good thing because that means we just slap her in and fire it up. But this has to go because this freaking is stupid. And it won't even go in because it's made in China, I guess. All right. It is the next day, and as you can see, we got the original motor out of the Chrysler here on the hoist. We got the replacement motor here on this stand. We've discovered that this engine is out of a 64 model car, B body, going by the exhaust manifolds. So there's a few things we're going to have to swap over. The manifolds, I'm taking off the Chinesium valve covers and putting original ones on. I'm also going to swap the water pump housing for a later one so I can use my mechanical aftermarket temperature gauge in addition to the factory gauge. We also got to remove this power steering pump and some other little things. And yeah, the oil pans are different actually too. So we're going to have to swap the oil pans. We'll have to do a little bit of painting and stuff so they match. Got some turquoise paint. And hopefully get it all bolted up. We got to do the flywheel and all that. We got our bearing for the that we got to put in the back of the crank here for the pilot. Yeah, bunch of stuff like that. So ready to work?
You bet.
All right then. Here's the water pump housing I'm going to use. It has this port here that should fit my mechanical temperature gauge. And then we got our factory sending unit right here. So going to clean this up, paint it turquoise, and it'll end up on here. All right, we got pretty much everything we need off of this original engine. And now we got to put it all on this one. Kind of touched up the paint a little bit since it was looking pretty sad. And now I'm going to see about bolting on the bolt-ons. So we got to put the water pump housing on, water pump, alternator, you know, eventually the motor mounts, the exhaust manifolds, all that stuff. So just going to start bolting stuff on. Going to touch up these bolts where they got skint up a little bit installing them. So motors were assembled, then painted. So all the bolts would be painted because they did it all at once. So just doing a little touch up so it looks somewhat correct. Now I should paint this. I might do that anyways. I'll think on that one. But I need to put the heater hose fittings in. I got the long one off the other motor. The short one, haven't pulled one off yet. Might just go get a new one that has a hex drive on it so we can actually get it off. And there's a plug here that I don't need to remove so I can put my mechanical temperature gauge in. So that's why I use this later water pump housing. So I need to put the alternator brackets on. Got this one here. And goes as such. So I'll go ahead and put these bolts on. Clean this bolt off a little bit. I imagine that these bolts were probably plated in some form or fashion when the motor was assembled. So like the bolt-ons will usually be like black. So this bracketry is black, for example. We got a couple long bolts and spacers to mount this alternator. I'm going to wipe some of the grime off. Just so they're a little cleaner. See, his spacer goes there as such. So we'll put it on its bracket. And now I've noticed a difference. Okay, so the original water pump housing, this boss with the bolt is right here. So I can't use this bracket as intended because now it's the wrong size essentially. So I either need to drill a new hole in the bracket here or possibly here. So maybe I'll just drill a new hole here. I'll measure it. That way I can get this to line up. Looks like I'm probably 2 inches off. You know, things that you never think of that happen. So then you gotta change what you're doing to make it work. So it appears that if I move the bracket to here, if I drill a hole here, then I should be able to mount this bracket like it was originally. So let me go ahead and mark that. So I will drill a hole right there. Oh, actually the boss is a little off, so I need to drill it here. Okay. So I'll drill that out, and I think we'll be good.
Sounds bottomed out.
Yep.
Well, the test will be once we bolt it all together, see if it binds or not.
All this just to get this mechanical pressure gauge in here. Like I said, if I need to do this again, I will just buy a new water pump housing for like $100 for an aluminum one, because this is just ridiculous. It was a lot of work. We tried, you know, impacting it out. We tried heating it up. We tried welding a nut on there, and it would just break chunks of the plug off. It was crazy. And then I ended up cutting with the Sawzall and loosen it up that way. After a bunch of BS, mainly having to deal with that water pump housing and getting that plug out in order to put the mechanical temperature gauge in, we finally got the motor basically all assembled. Now we're going to just do a test fit just out of curiosity to see if this B Body oil pan will actually fit in here. I probably just put it in the middle, yeah, since going straight down with it.
Yeah, rolling right now.
What? Oh yeah. They're going clear?
Yeah.
Where are we at? Get the chalk. It's right there. I'm actually a little too far forward,
Yeah.
I guess. Now, is it going to fit?
As we lower it, we might can shimmy the jet thing over this way a little. I'll watch the.
Is it going to fit? Like, is it? Well, I mean, with the firewall and stuff.
Barely.
Huh?
It was just barely grabbing that heater hose. You're good. Bring it on down. Oh, hold on a second. And push it.
You're going to have it rotated that way.
Yeah.
You can kick the legs out. Is that where it needs to be, or?
Yeah, you can bring it on down. Alright, let's lower it down. Yeah, as it lowers, it'll go back slow.
It's on something there.
It's on the mount, like sitting on the bolt for it.
This one needs to go back.
This one needs to go back a little too.
Okay. Needs the jacket. Jack up a little bit.
It's on this one, so.
Well, hold yours down if you can. I don't know if that's doable.
It is a little cattywampus.
Mine needs to go back, so I'm going to push the whole thing back. I guess we should have put it on the front hole, actually.
Yeah.
Because the car didn't think about the car being so high. Okay. Oh, mine's on there.
Yeah.
Let me lower it down a tick. Are you able to line yours up?
I grab a light.
Mine's still on there. Actually, where's the nut at? I'll put the nut on there loosely. That'll keep mine on.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, true. We only need one on for now.
Well, it's just to keep mine from popping up. All right, what needs to happen on your side? Which way?
It just needs to go down.
Oh, okay. Well, we can go down now.
It's centered on it.
That it?
Yeah. It's flush for the exhaust.
That's about where it'd sit, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's like 3 inches between the center link and the back of the pan.
I don't see the pan pivoting that much. I mean, the
Can't tell on the front. If the front ain't touching, then it's like a hair.
I mean, it's really close installed with the other pan.
Honestly, I can't even tell if it's touching or not. It's like real close. So I think the pan has to be changed.
Probably better safe than sorry.
Well, I mean, I get down here and feel your side. I think your side's going to be fine because you got more space.
I can actually see the gap here. It's a pretty wide gap. See it at the corner.
I think mine's touching though.
Yeah.
So, but not by like it would only need like a half an inch and it would be fine.
I said factory install. I can remove,
Factory install, you take a sledgehammer and just hit this side.
It's called clearancing.
Kind of curious what this one looks like. Well, that one's kind of rounded.
Yeah.
This one's like more square, which is odd why they would do that.
Yeah. For giggles, could go look at it on that side on the 880.
Well, I mean, stick your finger under there. Well, I mean, on this side.
Yeah, I see how it's pivoted. It is a lot more.
Well, the engine sits offset.
Yeah. Chrysler signature.
It doesn't even make sense why they would do that. I'm starting to wonder how easy this will be to try to put in as one unit.
Go forward. Towards you. Okay, we're for the heater box. As cool as it is to destroy the heater box.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking about that.
It might just be as easy to do what we did, just in the reverse order.
Yeah.
Because if once we had the bell housing on here too, it would be a lot. We'd have to have this thing at a really sharp angle, which could be done, I guess.
So you have a narrow gap between the firewall and the exhaust pipe, in a sense. I mean, Joey's
Yeah, there is a
big scrape.
scrape there.
One thing I was thinking,
Ironically, this side has a 45-degree angle on it.
oh,
Like it was made for something like that. Either that or it's been dented from being tried before.
yeah.
But it's like if the cross member was square instead of round, it would fit too.
I guess B bodies they went with a square.
That's odd. Just what we needed. Okay, so what we've learned is B body oil pan isn't going to work in this car. It's just too squared off here. It needs to be rounded. Why they did that little change, I don't know. Ask the engineers. Here, let's just straight up so this don't dump a bunch of crap in there. Well, the front timing cover's been off, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I can see some orange silicone.
Ooh, look at all the silver.
Mm.
Mr. Babbitt, hello. I'm gonna go sit this outside.
Well, there's nothing just readily broken that I see. Oh, there it is. That rod. Push that down. Push it down.
Oh,
Yep.
well, remember I was saying from what I was reading, it's usually like 5 through 7 that tend to go first on the big blocks. And that is number 5.
So I think it's just one.
Yeah.
Just that one.
Well, that's the first one that gets oil. So in a sense, it's the first one that loses oil. See this old dried up stuff that was in there? Makes me wonder.
Don't look like any of the pistons have wallered in their bores at all.
Huh. I can see the bores still look rather good.
That thing is. Pop that cap off. Let's just see.
Yeah.
I really want to see.
Me too.
I've been dying for this.
Me too, since September. I think those are 9/16.
Let me move this so we can take a look at the.
And it's so polite of it to stop where we can get to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you look in the oil diagram.
Look at this.
Yeah.
Here, check it out. You see it?
Oh,
For
yeah.
the viewers, pretty sure that's where my disaster happened.
So if I recall, if you look at the oil diagram, 5 gets oil first.
So, I mean, looking at dress and motor, maybe I can just fix that and be on the road. Oh yeah, what is this here?
Did you find a treasure?
Looks like a. Is that a piece of bear in there? Oh yeah, I think it is. It's like Christmas, but but not in a good way.
Christmas for it's Chrysler's. Yeah.
Christmas, which is Christmas. Chryslermas.
Chrysler's mass. Look at where they drilled the counterweight. And it
I'm just going to set this right there.
perfect built for it. See, it makes me wonder if the oil pump wasn't really marginal, especially because this was what 3,700 RPM with those low gears on the interstate.
Give or take.
Might need to
Whack it with the hammer.
yeah.
Nope. I need a stronger hammer.
Yeah. Piece of wood. So the wood handle. Yeah.
Man, that isn't
Hey, maybe it kind of seized. Ah, that's the play.
There we go. Oh yeah.
Oh, look at it spun it out. You can see that'll be a good shot there.
Let's get a look at this. There is something missing.
Austin, I think I found it.
Get a closer look at that.
Yeah. I mean, this is an opportunity not often seen because a lot of people keep running them until it's just completely obliterated to get home. But this one kind of stopped partway through the process. You got good enough lighting?
Yeah.
But yeah, you can see the
Let me zoom in there. Hold on. Oh yeah, look at that. Hold on, let me get a picture of that there. You know, wait, we need doctor's tools for this. Hold on, what are you doing? Here, hold this. Hold this here. I got oh, take your gloves. Take your gloves off. Here.
yeah, you
I
can
got a tool for this.
yeah. We're saying that pointing out that is the bearing shell itself. The forceps. Well, Mr. Tech.
Okay. To get it to come out. Oh, I had it.
Doctor's tool.
Oh, here we go. Yeah, we got this thing locked down. That was that piece that I saw laying there.
Yeah. That is what's left of the bearing shell. Everything else got ground up. The Babbitt, copper.
You know, honestly, I was expecting it to be worse.
Yeah, me too.
But
Austin, you just run a little emery cloth on that and new bearing in there and go home.
I mean, it probably would work for a little bit.
Yeah.
Man, it doesn't want to give up. Holding on. I think it's just formed.
It's not ready to move on.
Wow.
Man, I do have to say though that for an engine with a documented of this era of 170,000 miles or close to it's really clean inside.
Okay, here we go. There we go.
Yeah, you can really see that lip where it just started mushing it in. And that should be the still part, the backer.
There's like, this is so thin.
Yeah.
But look how that's why it wouldn't come out. See how it's made
Got focus.
right there.
Do we have any of the old bearings out of that left, just for comparison's sake?
Yeah, actually. Oh wait, this is the money shot. Hold on. That's what I was wanting to do.
Wait, hold that pose. Okay.
That's all I wanted to do. That's what I wanted to use the ductor tool for. Just that.
So we have another bearing from another 63 361.
And this is what it's supposed to look like. As you can see, look how thin the one out of this engine is. And then look how it's missing all the everything. Look how much wider it is too.
Yeah. That's
like if we line them up side by side on the edge. Take a picture of that. That's crazy.
That is.
That's why it wouldn't come out. See, it form fitted. And the crazy part was, I felt it happen because I was driving along and it felt like the car like lost fuel for a second. It just kind of like, I was like, huh, that was weird. But then the temperature gauge went poof. I guess because that thing spun and was just heating up really quickly. The temperature gauge pegged, got it off the road, and then when I pulled off the road, that's when it was crack, 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 squeak, 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 squeak. But I don't know. I think this motor could be saved.
Yeah.
I can't believe this. Just leave this here.
For giggles of fun and brevity, want to pop the
Where'd that other cap? Oh, there it is.
yeah, flung off down there. I'd be kind of curious to pop the main right there. Number 3
What we really need to pop
is that pan. Yeah, we can further investigate this. Play forensics later.
You know, there's not as much gunk as I thought there would be. I don't think there's any really residue from the failure. This is just like a really hard amount of stuff that never could drain out because it's at the bottom of the pan.
Yeah.
So we've assembled the whole thing here. We bolted the transmission on to make sure that the pilot bearing with the, or not the pilot bearing, the input shaft is going to go into the crank and not bind up. We didn't cut it down because when we measured it, it looked like it was going to work. So we got the starter on, battery hooked up, and hit it. I'll take it out of gear.
Might just be parasitic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just
I was just
parasitic
curious.
drag.
So it looks like it's going to be okay. Oh, another thing. You can tell a big block transmission or heavy duty transmission, the top cover will have this hump on it.
Yeah, for the A745 new process transmission.
Yep. There it is.
But you'll encounter these up into the early 70s in some applications.
Like trucks, I guess.
Yep.
I guess, are we going to attempt to put this in with the transmission and everything bolted up?
Perhaps.
Okay.
base.
Now,
Jack. These are top side bolts. Now we can use the jack to line that up and where's your the hammer, the drilling hammer, S-wing?
oh,
Because usually these, at least on my, as many times as I've had it in and out, that cost me.
Here it is.
It's a little.
I found it. So, in order to get this engine in, we got to take off the
Throttle.
I guess it's a throttle bracket for the pivot for the accelerator throttle rod. Let me get a view of that. That right there. We put it back on. We put it back on because we put it back on because we didn't have it on there, but we discovered that it's just not going to clear the firewall, so we want to take it back off. Motor is in, bolted down, transmission, drive shaft, yada, 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 all the fuel lines and everything. Don't have the radiator in yet, but we're gonna see if this thing busts off.
And then maybe play with reverse flushing.
Yeah, we gotta flush out the radiator. I've got a mechanical gauge hooked up here just to see. Boom. So we're gonna see what happens, I guess. So the motor runs, it's quiet. Carburetor is leaking, so I'm gonna have to look into that, but I think it's gonna be okay. Now we still gotta do some other things, radiator and all that, but we know that the motor runs, and we still gotta do like an actual timing on it. But after a very long weekend with a bunch of BS that happened, I think the car is hopefully almost done. I don't think it's got no ground thumping cam in it though.
Oh, hell. It has a big muffler on it.
Well, I mean, the idle is pretty normal.
Yeah.
I was kind of told this to be like a bad boy engine. I was thinking it was going to be ruppida.
I wants to get tuned down.
Nah, it's all right. I don't need no bad boy engine.
It'll be okay. This car is bad boy enough.
Well, I guess we could put the hood on the car. That's a 2-person job, so I don't know if I'm going to keep all this bad boy Holly carburetor and all this. I don't know if it's really my style. Actually, let me see if this air cleaner is going to work. This air cleaner has been on more cars than I can count.
It's kind of neat. It must be an older aftermarket one with that stock appearance.
I don't know. It might be too tall.
I think it'll clear.
I like it because it kind of looks factory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a clean look. You don't look at the spaghetti ignition wires.
Yeah, those wires are...
On the spark plugs.
I got to do something else with those. But it runs, so...
Yeah.
Okay, radiator's all hooked up, coolant's in, battery hold down, electric choke hooked up, all that. So now we're gonna fire the car up and see if this carburetor's gonna be spewing, so we might replace it just so we can get this done. Is that the belt, I guess? Spraying coolant from somewhere. Spraying
I thought it was
coolant.
the initial.
Well, it could have blown out the overflow if it was too full.
Well, and also if the radiator was still full of water, still had some water in it, could have pulled it out.
Okay, well, guess we'll fire it up and let it run. Break-in procedure.
Yeah, good oil pressure, at least.
Basically doing a break-in because I don't know if this motor was ever broken in or anything, so we'll see how this goes. Ooh, she's smoking a little bit. But but there's going to be a lot of stuff burning off too. I did hook up some auxiliary gauges. I don't have this oil pressure gauge hooked up yet, or this vacuum gauge, but I do got the water temp gauge in. Temp's going up. Basically holding this at 2,500 RPM. We've been running this about 8 minutes now. Thermostat works, I saw it drop. And the smoke is gone from the exhaust, and looks like most of the smoke from the engine's gone.
Fuel pressure swinging from 3 to 6.
Fuel pressure is ranging 3 to 6 PSI.
Guess where I got this from? Right at the sending unit.
Which one? The mechanical gauge?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm basically at that, like 181. So the gauge is pretty accurate.
Yeah, I'd say so.
What's the oil pressure at?
We'll call it 65.
65 PSI.
That's about where mine is.
That's an appropriate song to be playing on the radio. I'm lucky that I got a good oldies station. So, can use the original air cleaner top with a new base. I think the other air cleaner was restricting it a little bit.
Yeah.
So this one's basically like having an open element because it's open down here. And we got the snorkel. But it basically looks pretty much stock. I guess if you weren't looking too close, you wouldn't see the badass parts, but
Test run. I mean, I'd say that probably feels better than stock.
I think I need to check the air pressures on these tires. This car's been sitting for like 6 months.
Yeah, get some fresh fuel in it and see what it does. Live action temperature gauge shot.
Need to tighten that belt.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
It's nice to be driving this car again, though.
Yeah. That's for sure.
$2.99 for gas?
Oh, that shot way up.
What the? Last time I got gas, it was like $2.40. What in the world?
So it's not a holiday weekend.
That's weird.
Time for a little premium. There's, huh.
This thing had a funky,
Oh yeah, locking.
it would give you trouble at times. There we go. Fill her up with the good stuff.
That high test?
Yup.
Man, mean, like it was said, there could be some Billy Bad Boy 10.5 compression or something. Just don't know.
I don't often give my cars the bad boy gas at $3.79 a gallon, but
Considering the old gasoline there, help it.
plus it's her treat for having to wait this long.
The Newport can have a little premium as a treat.
So we're here at Autozone to get a fitting to put the oil pressure gauge into the inside of the car. And we noticed that this is where they got all the stuff for the motor that we just put this in. So check this out. First thing I noticed was the throttle spring bracket there. And then I noticed this. And then we noticed the whole shebang there. And the exact same wire separators or whatever. And I'm sure if we kept looking, we could find something else.
Yeah, they couldn't just done, you know.
Actually, this is probably where that dipstick came from too. Yeah. Well, it's time to take the first long journey after the engine swap. Going to head to the Charlotte Autofair, where I got some swap meet spots. So I got a bunch of random junk I'm going to bring. That's about an hour and a half drive or so. So we'll see how it goes. Yeah, I thought the car started missing. Looks like one of the spark plug wires came loose. Well, the miss at least was just a spark plug wire. It doesn't seem like it snaps on too well, so there might be some issue with it. So I guess we'll see if it comes off again. Anyways, back on the road. Made it to the Autofair. Now I need to unload some of my solid gold goodies here.
Apparently they got the person in trouble. He was the only nice one.
I still don't know how a Willis counts. That's a stretch.
Well, the good news is we're parked right behind the North Carolina Jeepers or something. Gas monkey looking thing.
Why is the Roadmaster there by itself with all these like rat rods? Look at that thing.
There they are.
Wait, was it somebody I knew? Because I wasn't paying attention.
That may have been Joy.
Well, I've been driving the Chrysler past couple days. No problems, driving great. Back on the way to the Autofair again. It's Friday morning. Charlotte traffic is deadly. Holy crap. People around here have got a different way of driving, and it's not in a good way. Anyways, I'm gonna head back to Autofair and put this car in the show field. Well, out here in the swap meet, trying to find them solid gold goodies, also known as MoPar parts, which can be tricky to find sometimes. I've seen more Buick Roadmasters here than ever in my life. I did find a treasure here. I I am part of the WPC club, and there was a set of these vintage license plate frames. So I picked them up. I'm gonna keep one for myself and let a fellow club member get the other one. Man, there are 3 90s Buick Roadmaster Estate wagons here at the Autofair. I haven't even been to the whole thing yet. I ain't never even seen this many of these cars in my life.
Okay.
I was like, how many of these wagons am I going to see at this show?
I'll tell you.
91, 4,900.
Tell you what, you get that, I get the land out, and we'll go.
Shit, wait.
Please to California.
Oh, that's Armstrong Cars. That's over where I live.
There you go. What about Eller Buick?
I don't know where that is. I guess that was in Conover.
Polara.
That one's different. That's the
Yeah,
dark.
I know. It'll be the longer one.
That's crazy.
Trust me, I'm real sensitive to
Bronco frame. Look at it. I guess they're the same wheelbase, huh?
or
Yeah, it looks like, unless they lengthened it. Oh wait, I see a big. I see a big. Looks like a plate right there.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. I thought to say.
Yeah, there's been some customization.
Oh man, look, his number is 440. What if your phone number though was 440-727-8? What would 8340?
034. That's what it looked like.
I'm on my way back from the Autofair. I'm about halfway into my trip back home. The only thing I've noticed is the temperature is getting a little higher than I would normally like. And it seems to be worse as the faster you go. So I'm thinking it may be the radiator's the plane, because the original radiator was a little, you know, cruddy inside. So it might be that, because it seems to cool down as you go lower speeds, and it doesn't puke any fluid or anything when you stop. So I don't really think it's any kind of major danger. But like right now I'm at 210, which I mean it isn't crazy or anything either. It's not like necessarily bad, but I don't know how it'll be if you're like idling in traffic for a long period of time if the car would start overheating. So things I just have to figure out. This is the first time I've driven this car any distance, so far not bad. No real troubles. So just things to keep an eye on, I guess. I may have spoke too soon and discovered the gas gauge is not accurate because it is bone dry in that gas tank. Great. And I don't have any spare gas. Now I gotta be like the 1960s and then go up to a random house and see if they'll give me some gas. Well, I got a can of gas, so this ought to maybe get me back on the road. So. Well, I wasn't expecting this, but I'm glad that people are still nice enough to help you out. So I got my can of gas that's full, and this ought to be enough to get me to a gas station, I hope. Alrighty. Another guy stopped to offer help. I had to really get this carburetor to get gas by basically priming the system because it was drained dry, but or maybe I spoke too soon. Oh, okay, there we go. Now I got a couple gallons, so I got to make the most of it. Got to go by. Closest gas station is a few miles away. A guy stopped and called to make sure they were still open. So I got to drive up to the stop sign or stoplight, whatever it was, and take a right, and that's the closest one. So we'll see how this goes. Okay, taking a right at the stop sign. I don't know where this gas station is, and I realized that if I just gone my normal route, I think I would have made it to a gas station. So now I'm trying to go a back way, back around. Not the best time to be taking sightseeing tours. I see a gas station up ahead. Hopefully I can get to it because I'm probably on fumes again. And hopefully it's open. Of course, this is like the longest red light at a funky intersection. I'm probably gonna have to pay a lot of money for it. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna run out of gas just sitting here. Finally. Okay. Looks like it's open, so let's get some gas. And a reminder that I always bring a gas can with me, but this time I didn't, so I'm gonna have to make sure I do that again. Okay. I hate these stupid things. Lesson learned. This car can't go below a quarter of a tank or you'll have problems. You know, I might have known about this during my trip across the country, but I've obviously forgotten that the gauge isn't accurate, so I can't go below a quarter of a tank. All right, I made it back home, and now it's time to go to bed, I think. all in all, it was a good Autofair. Car did great, other than the fact that I ran out of gas, which that's not, I guess, really the car's fault. Or kind of is, I guess, because the gas gauge said I had a quarter of a tank. So I guess I need to fix that, or just keep that in mind for the future. Quarter tank means E on this car, but it did great. I'm going to look into why it seems like it's running warmer than I would like. I did put the old thermostat back in, so might try that first. The radiator did have some clogging in it, so it might be that. But hope you enjoyed video of this car getting back on the road and discovering what was wrong with it in the first place. And stay tuned for, of course, more videos on this car in the future. I'm going to do some more things to it, probably take it on some more trips and such now that it's a driver again. And so follow along if you haven't. Subscribe. Don't forget to check out my Instagram at Obsolete Automotive, as well as my Patreon and Facebook discussion group. Post links to those in the description. So thanks for watching, follow along, and catch you on the next one. I'm going to delve into it. People have been asking about this, and I need to redo that. Well, you're supposed to give it a bit of a rolling start.